Okay guys, I know last week we went over number conversions, but I'm going to do it again because it's very, very, very important, okay? And it can really change your writing a lot, okay? So, for those of you that were falling asleep last week, here's to you. That's what this is for. No, I'm gonna go over it again just because it is very important, guys, okay? So I'm gonna go over it again. We actually have a tape that I'm gonna show you. I think it's a little more in depth than what you guys are probably ready for, but I'm gonna show you anyway. You know, so we may get through it today, we may not. I don't wanna go through a whole lot because I don't wanna overwhelm you, because numbers covers a lot of stuff. Measurements, ordinals, dates, social security numbers, phone numbers, stuff like that. So, okay?
With Eclipse, 2 basic steps will give you excellent number translation. Fine-tune your dictionary and fine-tune your number settings. Pure your number settings. Pure number bar strokes aren't even necessary in your dictionary. Other numbers building blocks will be defined as words, not digits. 100, 1,000, million describe orders of magnitude. Write the word dollars when you hear it, not before, and it, like other money words, will trigger number conversion with the appropriate currency symbol. If a number doesn't translate right, it's probably because of an old dictionary entry. Remove such entries and your building blocks will work properly. A separate presentation deals with finding and moving entries in and out of your dictionary. Occasionally you'll want to convert numbers after translation. Mark the number first, then click on the toolbar icon, or use the menu or the speed key, Control and the pound key together. Here you see your number as it starts out, and as it would look depending on which format you choose. However, your numbers settings will control, and so the gear icon takes you quickly to adjust those settings. Within these short presentations, it's not possible to show all that Eclipse automatic number conversion can do. So a separate in-depth ePower video tutorial is available on automatic number conversion.
And that's what they're talking about. The tutorial is the video that I have. So I'm gonna go through this lesson first, and then we're gonna go through that conversion tutorial. It's really, really in depth. And it might be a little bit over your head, but I think it's gonna be good to learn, because when you take the advanced class, I'm gonna show you again. And then maybe you'll understand it a little bit better. But like I tell you guys this every week, and you can probably go back on the wiki and watch every tape that we do. The stuff that we do this week, work with it, okay? The more you do it, the more it's gonna come second nature to you, okay? If you just listen to it, it's like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. You know, next time I'm gonna do that. You know, next time I have to define it or whatever. Next time you go to define it, you're gonna forget it. Oh man, what was that? Then you're gonna have to go back in the lesson and look at the lesson again. So just when you're practicing or whatever, find, especially like now, like we're doing numbers, find something, some practice material that has to do with numbers, and then go through and use that, okay? I'm gonna play this again, and I'm gonna kind of stop on some of the stuff that's more important.
With Eclipse, 2 basic steps will give you excellent number translation. Fine-tune your dictionary and fine-tune your number settings. Number settings. Pure number bar strokes aren't even necessary in your dictionary. Other numbers building blocks will be defined as words, not digits. 100, 1,000, million describe orders of magnitude. Write the word dollars when you hear it, not before, and it, like other money words, will trigger number conversion with the appropriate currency symbol. If a number doesn't translate right, it's probably because of an old dictionary entry. Remove.
This is kind of the old way that we used to have to do it. So when you wrote 25,000, that's how you had to do it. That was back when I first got out of school, about 3 years ago, or so, in there, ish. This is the way we used to have to do it, not anymore. The software has come so far that now you don't even mess with the numbers, okay? Like you do your number bar, it already knows. All you mess with is that right there, $1,000. That's the way you stroke it out. You can do it 1,000, you can do it that way, 1,000, and then dollars, D-L-A-R-S, or you can do it that way in one stroke. That's $1,000. $100 is H-U-N-D-Z, trillion dollars, T-R-L-D-Z, not the I, especially like on million. It's you know, and you want to be careful with that because, like, especially defining million, you want to do it differently than you would do mill, like a sawmill. I went over this last week, but you want to do it differently. And even like bill for billion, I don't know how you guys stroke out billion, how you stroke out million. The way that I stroke it out is mill and bill. That's the way we were taught. 7 mil, 7 bill, you know? Well, that conflicts with mill, like a sawmill, and bill, like the name bill, dollar bill, and just stuff like that. So you want to be careful because like million is ML, or you can do MIL with the asterisk. And I'm telling you guys, the asterisk has become my best friend since really doing a lot of briefs. And in school, I didn't use a whole lot of briefs. I didn't. We learned that you just stroke everything out. That's fine, but I mean now it's all about working smarter, not harder. So when you do things differently or the same, when you do things the same, then all you have to do a lot of times is just add the asterisk. I've cut down my writing a lot just by using the asterisk. Like doing and dog, I hear doing 8 gabillion times more than I hear dog. So my DOG is doing. If I hear dog, it's with the asterisk, just because it's not something that we hear every day.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and like filled and filled, like you filled in a pothole, or he was out in the field, same stroke to me. I just use one with the asterisk than the other one. I use like a baseball field as F-I-L-D, and if you fill something, filled it in, then I use it with the asterisk. So I mean that's how, you know, kind of your writing is a little bit different or whatever, but this is the way you do it, okay? That's what they're talking about right here, about if you have somebody else's dictionary, they may have that in there, you know, especially if you got your dictionary from somebody like me or someone else that's been in the, you know, in the field for at least 3 years or so, then that's probably how they wrote it, you know, because that's how we used to have to do it. Now it's totally different, and the software knows what to do with it, so you don't have to work that hard. It knows what to do. When you write a number, when you have a number, 23 million, it already knows what to do because there's a number that precedes the million. Okay? So it already knows what to do with it. You don't have to overthink it. You don't have to put in, you know, other stuff or whatever. It already knows what to do with it. Okay?
Such entries and your building blocks will work properly. A separate presentation deals with finding and moving entries in and out of your dictionary. Occasionally you'll want to convert numbers after translation. Mark the number first, then click on the toolbar icon, or use the menu or the speed.
There's Control-Shift-3 or pound. Excellent. So if for some reason it's not translating, highlight it, push Control Shift pound or 3, and it'll tell you how it needs to be converted. Or if you want to convert it, that's how you do it. Whether you do it in
Key, Control and the pound key together. Here you see your
So if you want to do it in quantity, it'll do it in quantity. If you want to do it in money, it'll put the dollar symbol here with the cents, so it'll add a 0 or whatever. You know, so it'll think that, I mean a 0.3 because it's 0.3, so it's going to think that it's 3 cents. So it'll do it in ordinals. Do y'all know what an ordinal is?
Yes, first, second.
First, second, third. So ST, ND, RD, all of those is an ordinal. Roman numerals, generics, anything. Okay? So it already knows how to do it by doing the Control Shift 3. But you have to highlight it. You have to highlight the whole number that you want. And then push Control Shift pound or 3, and then it shows you how to convert it. Now you have to be careful right here because, you know, if you want it in money, it may come out in quantity. So it's not going to come out correct here. So you have to be sure that you have the right one picked out. Okay?
It's also saying that the cap N converts to numerals. So I don't know if that, does that help? Oh, and cap M is money, so
Yeah.
that makes sense too.
So
Hyperkeys.
that's only in money. It does it in money. So in your hyper keys, Shift M converts it to money. Okay? But this will convert it to anything. Ordinals, whatever, quantity. Okay?
That's cool.
number as it starts out, and as it would look depending on which format you choose. However, your numbers set
You see how the ordinal? That's what I'm talking about with the ordinal. For those of you guys that didn't know. It just puts the TH on it, RD, ST, whatever. Okay? So that's what they mean by an ordinal.
So they highlighted those in the,
They highlighted this stroke right here.
There.
36,508.3.
okay, and then they right click, how did you get to that? Oh, it was Control 3, you said.
Control Shift 3.
Okay.
Write it down. Control Shift 3 converts to money, quantities, ordinals, Roman numerals.
That's cool.
settings will control, and so the gear icon takes you quickly to adjust those settings. Within these short presentations, it's not possible to show all that Eclipse Auto
Okay. Any questions on any of that? Want to see it again?
Control, Shift,
I'm all right.
3. That's cool. Shift 3.
Here are two quick examples of how to fine-tune your numbers settings. The numbers section of your user settings asks two general questions. First, how do you write numbers? So what do you even want number conversion to process? And second, what kinds of numbers do you want in words as opposed to digits? This first writer doesn't use the number bar and wrote the word "and" when it was heard. So ignore written numbers is not turned on, but process "and" as part of a number is turned on. For general quantity numbers, this user has Eclipse write out 1 through 10, but put 11 and above in digits. For currency, do not write out any numbers, just use digits. And for ordinals, write out 1st through 10th. There.
Do y'all understand what it's saying there? Have y'all understood everything they just said there? Guys? If you don't, tell me so that we can go over it real quick. Let me go back.
Several questions. First,
This right here, ignore written numbers. It's going to put it in numbers. If you check that thing, ignore written numbers, then it's going to put it in numbers. So whether you stroke out all of your numbers, it doesn't matter. Whether you use the number bar, it doesn't matter. Okay, so when you have that check, and be careful with that, because the way that and I don't really want to, the way that certain ways that you learn how to write numbers affects the way that it comes out. I learned the number bar. For some of you guys, you didn't learn the number bar, so it's going to be a little bit harder. And they're going to show you on that video tutorial exactly why. Because, like, they may say, I need 12 cans 5 days in advance. Or I need 12 5 days in advance. So if you write it out, it's going to come out 125, maybe. Unless you write 12 and then 5, and you have them defined differently. See, I have it set up to where when I use my number bar, it comes out in numbers. But when I write out the word, it comes out in words. This is how you change it. This is how you do it.
If we use number bar, then you don't want us checking that. We want those numbers to show up. if we
Yeah,
use number
so
bar.
you want to leave it unchecked.
And the word
And when you put "and," because they could say it's $478. Well, a lot of times you're going so fast, you're just writing what they're saying. $478. Okay, and if they ask you to read back, that's kind of how you have to read it back. It's not $478. It's $478 is what they said. Okay,
So if you check that, what's it gonna do then? Process and as a number?
it's going to take out the "and."
Okay.
And it's going to put 478. It's going to put 478. Now,
You may not like that.
when you're translating, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter because that's the way that it's going to come out. You don't write it $478. You just write $478.
You still would say $478 typically, even if it's
Yeah.
$478.
Yeah, very, very true. So when you're reading it, that's pretty much what it says. That just knows to leave it out and to put it together. Okay? When you check that box. If not, then it's gonna leave it in there. So that's how you change it.
How do you write numbers? So what do you even want number conversion to process? And second, what kinds of numbers do you want in words as opposed to digits? This first writer doesn't use the number bar and wrote the word "and" when it was heard. So ignore written numbers is not turned on, but process "and" as part of a number is turned on. For general quantity numbers, this user has Eclipse write out 1 through 10, which puts 11.
See, and when you go through here and do this, numeric class, each time you check on this, like on currency, it's going to give you this box. And it's going to ask you what you want to do with it. So this isn't just a generic thing. Each one that you check is different. Okay? So you're going to be able to change either one. Any of them that you want. I mean, like on quantity, I don't know what I have on quantity. I'll have to check. I think it's just like this. Currency, it might be all. And you can check like all or none, 1 through 10, 1 through 10 with every other 10 after that. So like 20, 30, 40, 50, all of those. Or whatever, and you can put at start. So at the beginning of a sentence, what do you want it to be? Do you want the number? Do you want it written out? That's where writing it out and stroking it out, the number bar, kind of come in handy here too. So like in money, it's a little tricky because like when I was in school, they taught us that you never write a number at the beginning of a sentence. You never write a number. It's always the written out number. Does that make sense to you guys? The way I'm explaining it? I don't know if I'm explaining it correct.
With the number 4, like,
Yeah, you never put the
Four
number
that's meant to
4.
the store.
If they say 4, it's always F-O-U-R. How old was a child? 4. You don't put 4, number 4. It's F-O-U-R. Okay? And stuff like that. And you try to stay consistent.
right.
So what was the ages of the kids? 4, 5, and 8. Well, you don't do F-O-U-R and then the number 5 and 8. Keep it consistent. Okay? So, but anyway, this is how you this is how you do it. Right here is you know, like I said, each one is going to give you this box right here to change to whatever you want.
And above in digits. For currency, do not write out any numbers, just use digits. And for ordinals,
And you see what they're saying there? For currency, you always want numbers. So you're always going to stroke it out. But for those of you that don't, then try to think of what you would do there. It's still going to be no values, I believe. Because once you stroke dollars, it's going to know that you're doing currency anyway. And the way that you define it in your brackets is gonna let it know that that's what you're talking about, that you're talking about money. It's gonna know that dollars means money, okay? And I think we went over that of how you define money, stuff like that, with the bracket, pound sign, I think it's M for money, and then closed bracket or whatever, okay? It'll kind of show you in that tutorial that we're gonna do.
write out 1st through 10th. There are different settings for what to write out at the start of a sentence.
And on that ordinals too, I think I have like 1 through like 100. Because even if you do like the 23rd of April, it's gonna know to keep it like that. Instead of writing out 20-3rd in words, it's gonna know to convert it. Okay? So whatever you use, what do y'all use for ordinals? Like if you're gonna say May 1st, how do y'all stroke that out?
S with asterisk.
We haven't done it in a while.
What's that?
Like if you're gonna do
1 and then S
Yeah.
with the asterisk.
So if you do May 1st, how would you stroke that out?
like
May
the
and then
bar
ST.
and then S and the asterisk.
For ST.
So one
ST.
TS.
1 S asterisk, that's the way y'all do ordinals?
Yeah.
Everyone? Okay. I learned it differently. I learned it with the E. So 1E, 2E, 3E is my ordinal. So first is 1E, second is 2E. So it's
Is
with
that
the
in the
E.
computer already? I mean, is that in Eclipse?
That's StenEd. That's old StenEd. So I mean, I don't know what
Man, that
Kissling
must
Mary
be
does.
really old
StenEd.
StenEd.
We are still in.
They must have changed it then. They must have changed it because ours was 1E, 2E, 3E, whatever. But it doesn't really matter. As long as you have it defined and it knows that it's defined, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you can have 1 period. I don't really care. As long as you learned it that way, you know it that way, it's defined that way, it doesn't really matter.
So the E just signifies it's an ordinal,
Yeah.
so it needs to be like ST or TH
Yeah.
or whatever already.
And you don't have to worry about putting ST. You don't have to worry about putting RD. All you have to do is put the ordinal, which is the bracket, pound sign, which means the number, and I believe it's O for ordinal. And then close bracket makes it know that it's an ordinal. So my E is going to be defined as an ordinal when it's with a number. It's going to know that it's an ordinal. So you don't have to go through and say every time that they say pre or Fremont that it's going to be PR and it's going to put EST or END. You don't have to worry about that. It already knows how to do it. It's always with the number. So that's what the pound sign is when you define it. It already knows that it's going to be a number first before it changes it. So when the number has the E on it, then it's gonna know to change it. Make sense? Okay.
And as of 1 million, Eclipse will use words to make large round numbers easier to read.
On this, what they're saying here is like on million, you want to make it easy for the reader. So, you know, when they want it to clarify, usually that's kind of what you want it to do. You kind of want to make it easy. When they say 1 million, well, you don't want 1, 0, 0, 0, comma 0, 0, 0, comma whatever. You just want 1 million. Make it easy for the reader. Don't like, whoa, you know, and then their eyes have to scan over because there's so many zeros or whatever. You make it easy to read, okay? And that's what they're saying right there on the clarify, what you want it to clarify. So from million on, you know, that's the way it's going to clarify.
And it would show the dollar sign, 1, and then the word million. Is that right? Is that how it would actually come out on long?
No, like on money, it's going to be different. It's probably going to come out in the number.
Oh, you're on ordinal.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's on, you know, ordinals. You know,
Okay.
so if they say 23 million, even if he says, well, how many dollars was that? Oh, it was 23 million. They know that they're talking about money, but he didn't say money. He didn't say dollars. He said 23 million. So you want to make it easy for the reader. You know what? It was just 23 million. 23 million. Not 23, comma, 0, 0, 0. You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Make it easy. And it looks nicer in the document itself.
Read. This number bar user uses word strokes to indicate when a number from 1 to 10 should not be in digits. So ignore written numbers is turned on, and Eclipse is not being asked to write out any values. Number conversion is treated at length in the efficient editing tutorial. 10 should not be in digits. So ignore written numbers is turned on, and Eclipse is not being asked to write out.
You understand what it's saying there?
Kind
So
of.
when you stroke it out, it's going to know that it needs to be stroked out. But when it has, even if you stroke it out 3 million and then you have dollars, it's going to know to put it in numbers. Okay?
But he wanted 3 purchases staying in
Yeah.
words.
Purchases totaling
And then
3
one-
million because it's not 3, it's not the number 3. You know what I'm saying? That's not the proper English way to do it. This is the proper English way to do it. It's THREE. He wanted 3 purchases totaling then the number. That's what they're saying right there.
Any values. Number conversion is treated at length in the efficient editing tutorial, so be sure to look at it.
Oh, we're gonna